All right. So take it from you were saying that with all good traits, there are also negative traits. So let's go through that because we can easily I can see how those positive traits can really blindside someone. And in relationships, we often call that, love bombing, right? Yeah. And seeing things as with rose colored glasses. It's like when you really are into somebody or you want to get into someone's circle, you tend to ignore, those signs, pink flags. I guess after a while, once you're comfortable or once he's got you and you're in that world and you got the taste. I don't know. I guess it has to do with other people's birthdays also. But let's continue with now the traits that are associated with the negative side to being born on that day.
So the thing you have to understand about the good traits, people think narcissists know that they're a narcissist. So you'll get in a fight with someone, you're a narcissist. My boyfriend's a narcissist. That's not how it works. The narcissist doesn't know he's a narcissist. He just is. And he doesn't have to try to be a narcissist.
Right.
It's really important to understand that someone like Diddy is he's not attempting to be these things. He just is. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's almost like inherently or intrinsic, right?
Yeah.
When people say that, like when I was born, my birthday, I'm March 25th, and the year that I'm born, I'm not going to tell anybody, but that year, I can't help myself in certain things, right? And there's a reason why I may not be shy or I am inquisitive naturally or ask a lot of questions. It's like nobody taught me that. I was just always curious. That's my personality. So what you're saying is that there are sides to Diddy, some of the negative traits that he can't help himself with. It's kind of like a birthmark. He's got personality traits that are synonymous to a birthmark. And what are those things?
Okay. One of the interesting things he has is unrealistic.
Okay.
That's important because if you actually look at Diddy and you tell him no, he says yes. And that's part of what makes him successful. The word no doesn't exist to him because he's not realistic. For example, if the feds decide to maybe give him a plea deal, X amount of years or a shorter sentence, in exchange for him beating the case, fundamentally thinks he's going to win this case. So unrealistic is really important. Okay. This word comes up several times with him. And remember, the process that I use has functionally about 15 or so good words, 15 or so bad words. There's more that define you and so forth, but with Diddy, we don't even need all of his bad words. We just use the same word over and over again. And then the word is depressive. He battles severe depression.
That may be why he participates in all of these extreme events and these euphoric experiences that gets him out of he's trying to, it's a coping mechanism. It's like whatever addiction that is that he has, because there is claims of drug use, there's claims of, a lot of inappropriate activity, things that will challenge your adrenaline and push you to a limit. So if you are depressive and you don't want to be depressive, he's going the extreme opposite. He's not addressing the depression clearly in a healthy way. He's treating it or numbing it with all of these other activities. Right or wrong?
Yeah. No, you're right. And the thing too is he has people with this birthday are highly addicted to alcohol.
Okay.
And what happens is they have alcohol actually, the way it responds in his body and brain, it puts him in a place where he loses control. And I knew that. Obviously, we know he's got addiction issues and different things. But when he went to New York and he checked into the hotel the night they arrested him, he was going to stay in that hotel one more night and then check in the morning, right? So his attorney said, hey, we'll just go, we'll turn ourselves in. And I think the law says something like if you turn yourself in, you're more likely to get bail because you're surrendering yourself. And again, I'm not a legal expert, but
Sure.
But the Fed said, no, we're going to arrest you the night before because they wanted him to do
the witch walk?
The perpetrator walk. So they wanted to bring him out in handcuffs and they didn't want him to turn himself into the police. They wanted to make an event of it, right?
Okay.
So but here's the point I'm making. The night before, so he's in this hotel. The night before, he's going to turn himself in on the Tuesday, I think it was, or the Wednesday. When they arrested him the night before, they went in his room and there was drugs there.
When they arrested him?
Yeah. So literally,
did they go to his? I should know these details, but they went to his hotel to arrest him.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they checked his hotel.
Okay.
And he still had drugs and alcohol, and that's why they're like, we can't let you out on bail because you knew you were turning yourself in, and you still couldn't help but having drugs and alcohol in your room. Like, is he thinking? Right? So, but that to me is when addiction becomes real, is when it clouds your judgment. It just, you're physically addicted. And for him, another word Carm, is self-destructive. So guys with this personality, they go to the top, but then they fall precipitously. Like it's very sharp. Now, this is over a 20 to 30, 40 year window, right? This guy is 57 years old, I think, or 55 years old, sorry. And he's been in the game since since 1994, 30 years, right? So this isn't a quick fall, but it's a sharp fall.
Oh, yeah, there's an article on Yahoo News. Diddy was allegedly found with ecstasy and other substances in his hotel room during his arrest. So, dude, I can't think of a better example of anybody on the planet living today of self-destruction than what is actually happening right now. Like, if you look at the dictionary of self-destruction, that is him. Like, everything that he's doing right now, including up to the day of arrest, it's so spot on. That's crazy.
But you got to remember that he's not doing it. He's being it.
Right.
See, we look at people and so why did he do this? I look at it like he's just being who he is destined to be.
Right.
So that way it's less about the judgment. It's more about the behavior.
Got you.
We've already talked about escapist, which is it's one of the most dangerous personality traits you can have because it literally allows you to hurt people without remorse. I look at it differently. I think that's the action and that's the clinical definition. But I think he's just out of body and he literally isn't doing it because somebody else or something else is controlling him or he's possessed. And if you actually watch that video we talked about in CNN where he's at that hotel.
The incident with Cassie.
It was a Continental Hotel.
Sure. The one that really set the wheels in motion for other people coming about because there was just hard evidence that he could not deny. Like this was really a blow to his entire credibility, right?
Well, if you watch that video when he's dragging her and he's kicking her,
yeah,
you can see it was disgusting. But I looked at it like there wasn't a soul there; he was possessed. Sure. And so some of the listeners might think I'm talking about demonic type stuff. I'm not going there. I don't know about that stuff, but I know that the word escapist means he's out of body.
Okay.
And then I bet you 10 minutes later, 15 minutes later, when the rage calmed, back to awful.
Well, yeah, he has zero emotional regulation. Like we saw him, and I say this word emotional regulation because I was I just saw a clip of Lewis Howes and he was talking to a brain surgeon and he asked the brain surgeon during his podcast, what's the number one skill that you think we should develop? And he said emotional regulation, right? And so when you look at the videos of Diddy, not only in that particular video, which was quite damaging and evidence of behavior that he tried to shelter, there's this one where he's freaking out in an office and tearing things apart, yelling at the top of his head. He looked like a madman, like literally a madman. And I would not like it's abnormal behavior, right? And it's just somebody who's out of control. And so when somebody's raging like that and they're out of control, similar to Ike Turner, because when we saw the movie of Ike and Tina, you see him in very similar behavior. So continue then. What are some of these other traits? We've got he's unrealistic. Now, unrealistic can be good and bad because when somebody says, no, you can't, and you say, oh, yes, I can, that's a trait of many, many entrepreneurs, right? A lot of entrepreneurs will like no means next opportunity, no means, oh, yes, I can. So it's not a bad thing. Depressive, clearly, we see where this takes place. Alcohol issues, self-destructive, escapist. Is there more? Those are pretty damaging.
He's fantasy prone. He's unrealistic. He believed he could be the biggest show on earth. And
he was. I mean, he was. Yeah, and
right, so
for the longest time, he held the richest black man in America for the longest time. He was a billionaire. I don't know if there was a businessman before him, but at least for the rap community and for the music community, he really did pave the way for so many artists.
Yep.
We are talking about the negative press, but he does still have a big fan base. And by the way, I did a recent study through one of my, AI tools, which we do consumer insights reports. And over the last 3 months, between Reddit comments and YouTube comments, total of about 3,500 comments, the assessment was that a number of people are upset about the sensationalism of the media. When we're talking a little bit about the sensationalism, and also saying that they're not happy with the way he's being portrayed because it's unfair, because aren't you innocent until proven guilty? And so the sentiment is a bit slipping. His music, his listening music is going up as well. So he's probably done a lot of good as well with his resources. Why then would he have been given the key to the city? Yes, it's like one black mark on it. My father used to tell me this all the time. You have a clean sheet of paper, like an entire white sheet of paper. You put one black mark on it, people notice the black mark. They don't see the big white sheet of paper. So we didn't really talk about the good that he's done. We're talking about the allegations right now. So the next one, you said fantasy prone. We can see evidence of that in all of his extravagant parties. Like when he does it up, right?
You're going to say one black dot on a white piece of paper?
Yeah.
I actually look at it differently. I think it's a black piece of paper with maybe a handful of white dots. It was a black piece of paper with a bunch of white dots. And we only saw the white dots. Sure. This guy's got a dark soul. He's purely evil. And I think you can't, we did this, you and I talked about Diddy maybe 6 months ago, video on him. And I knew how bad it was because I've had friends that have been around him, and everything you can imagine is true. And then when I study his birthday, it's worse than you think.
So here's the magic question, okay? Because it's like anybody born on this birthday, are they cursed? How do you work with somebody born on this birthday when their natural inclination is to be all of these things? They can't, it's like second nature. They can't help that they're depressive. They can't help that they're escapists. They can't help they're unrealistic or that they're prone to alcohol. Is there a thing they can do? How do you coach somebody out of this when that's their behavior? They're like a sick person. He clearly needs help. What do you do?
Well, there's more to it though. It's the environment he grew up in. He was on the streets. It's who is in his inner circle, what his family life was.
What you're saying is it's not for anybody on this birthday. I just want them to have some hope. Okay. Just, it doesn't mean that you are like a piece of crap. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no, Matthew McConaughey has this birthday. He's quite successful.
Okay. That's good to know. Okay. That's good to know. And even
Kris Jenner is worth $300 million. She's successful.
Right.
So,
But it's being aware though too, right? Once you're aware, because you and I had done my assessment and there were things in my score and in my chart that I didn't like, or I was questioning and I'm not like that. And then I looked at it and I'm like, it's not about whether I am or not. It's good to know and to be aware and to acknowledge, right? Because I've had a different upbringing than someone else. But at the root or at the core of things, these are my traits, and these are the things I'm prone to do. So if I can acknowledge that and recognize it and be conscious of every choice and not just be automatic in my response to things, but really think, oh, okay, let me not get triggered. That's a trigger. It's like being conscious. It's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, well, one of his other words is self-unaware, and another one of his words is difficult. So you're unaware, and then you're difficult when you become made aware. So, but here's the thing, right? There was a study they did many decades ago, and they asked Olympic athletes, would you take steroids if you knew you would win a gold medal?
Without being caught, in other words.
Without being caught.
Okay.
But here's the caveat, but you would die in 5 years.
Oh, hell no. I don't know.
They interviewed like 1,500 athletes, and like 75% of them said that they would take the gold in exchange for their life. So when you ask me, do people with this birthday, do they know that they have a bad birthday?
Wait, on this birthday, you mean? Not everybody across the board.
I'm talking about in general.
Okay, just in general. Wow.
People said that they would trade fame and fortune for their life. So if you told a Diddy at 18 or 16, you are gonna have the time of your life. Private planes, $45 million mansions, white parties, women, men, whatever he's into. You're going to be the number one mogul, Ciroc, and you're going to have 30 years of being on top. Would you trade that for you're going to prison at 55? I think he takes that 10 out of 10 times, because there's a saying, it's the life he lived, right? Now it's coming to an end. But up until the Tuesday that they arrested him a couple weeks ago, boy, was he living it up. So
that out of his personality, what could you propose would happen to him and his mental health? How would he handle being in prison? Is this somebody that, because apparently there's a suicide watch, can he actually do this time? Do you believe he will take his life more than, live the rest of his years in prison? Like, what are you predicting? What do you know based on this birthday? What are his choices?
Well, this birthday goes one of two ways, going back to when he was 18 years old. Self-destructive is a path. Depression is a path.
Okay.
Hurting yourself is there. It's not just Diddy. I mean, that's, people hurt themselves all the time, sadly.
Right.
With that being said, would it surprise you if 15 years from now he was running the prison and he was the man in prison?
Yeah. No.
Would that, so it goes one of two ways. Look, I'm not in the business of predicting someone's passing.
Sure.
That's not really what I'm here for.
Well, I guess I was wondering whether or not, I didn't even think of it from that angle. Like, hey, I'm in prison. How do I be at the top of this game? Or, hey, I'm in prison. I lived my best life. I'm out now. You know what I mean? Like, I'm done. So I didn't even think about him achieving a certain level of status or whatever in prison, because that's possible.
And you got to remember too, fundamentally, he wants to beat the case because he thinks he's innocent.
Right.
And if you look at the charges they have levied against him, they're bad. They're obviously gross. And look, I'm not a legal expert, and I've watched a lot of different YouTube channels where they talk about what the case, how strong it is. Right. And the feds don't get involved, especially I think he's in the Southern District of New York. They specifically handle cases that they win every case. Guys like Sam Bankman-Fried and guys. So
I'm sorry, his legal team is the one that wins the case, or the attorney side? Which side?
The federal government. This is a Southern District of New York. It's a federal government. This is not New York City. This is not the state. This is These
so
are
it's the state. It's the state versus Diddy, meaning they're going to get a conviction of some kind. He's already convicted. It's just how long. When there's no getting out of it, right?
There's no getting, not with the feds and not with the Southern Eastern District of New York.
Okay.
So now you got to think about, okay, he's still going to fight it and he has the money to fight it.
Right.
Right. But then you look at a guy like Bill Cosby, he got out, I think 6, 7, 8 years later. Maybe.
And those were some serious allegations.
Yeah. But if you actually look at Diddy's case,
okay,
from what I see, it's not that it's not a strong case, because it seems like it's a strong case.
Right.
But it's not, he didn't murder 15 people.
Yeah.
And there are victims who are, a lot of them now are filing civil suits against him. So there is a victim, but it's not a victimless crime. But it's not, you can't really point to him and say he's a rapist per se, right? Like, we'll see what happens. You can't point to him, and there's no doubt he did all this stuff. But the question becomes, can he fight it to maybe, instead of getting life in prison, does he get 15 years? Does that turn into 12? And then is he back out by the time he's 68?
Right.
With 300 million in the. So
right.
I don't think the Diddy story is over yet. I don't think so.
Well, Cosby had his, thank you for bringing that up. He had his court conviction overturned and served 2 years out of a potential 10-year sentence, maybe 2 years. And yeah, there were some serious allegations. So they found some legal loophole to get him out. And it is true, likely Diddy might follow that same path. Who knows? That being said, we did not discuss the good things he's done. Maybe we'll do an episode where we highlight some of the good that earned him the key to the city of New York. I think it's only fair that we cover, both sides of the contribution, rise to fame, and now, the embarrassment, and really him sitting in defense of where he's at. What else would you like to say as we wrap up? What's important for our viewers to know? What would you like to tell us or share with us about Diddy as he's in this process?
I think the one thing to bring up is we're talking about the dark side of this Diddy's personality for a couple of reasons. One, it's more salacious, and it's people want to find out what's going on, and now they want to pile on. I don't think that's our intention here. Our intention is to bring awareness to this. So if you are, quote unquote, the next Diddy, or someone in your life has this birthday, or you buy into what we're talking about here, what can you do? Okay, it's support, it's health, it's understanding, it's getting this guy needs professional help. It's looking at the warning signs, right? And if your daughter or son is around a person like this, you can call us and we can help you, but ask the right questions. Because I tell my clients all the time, you don't even want to get involved with a person like this per se. If you can,
Right.
you want to keep on walking, keep on moving, because once you get involved. But with that being said, a lot of people in entertainment would trade. You look at how many musicians, Kurt Cobain,
Yeah.
Amy Winehouse, you look at, a lot of these musicians, Tupac, Biggie, Mac Miller, you look at Nipsey Hussle, all these guys that have gone too soon, but we still remember their name, and that says something, right? So they chose that life, and I think guys like Diddy or even Aaron Hernandez has the same birthday, caught 2 touchdowns on a Friday or on a Sunday, he murdered 2 people on a Friday.
Wow.
Same birthday.
Yeah.
But again, he also was I think he was a guy who fundamentally was one of the best NFL football players at the time. So, it's life is interesting, it's challenging, and I think our goal here is bringing awareness to this, and we're always here if you need to get a hold of us, and we can provide you some insights and go deeper into different personalities. We're here to help.
Yes. What is it that you're doing right now, Neil, to help people? You mentioned a little bit of what you do, but who should be reaching out to you, and what's your gift to them?
Anyone who has a goal of a positive relationship, anyone who's in a bad relationship, anyone who left a relationship. Basically, if you
want to improve any relationship, business, personal, children, you want insight, you want some guidance. Look how deep we went here. This is just scratching the surface. I've done my assessment, guys. We're going to post the links, post the videos, post our previous video. Please please share our socials with you guys. Thank you so much, Neil. It's always a slice. Want to do this again. And yeah, we're out. Bye, guys.